What's good? It's Woog. In boxing, there are stories that surface and play out within the fight, some of them general and some of them more specific. The two most discussed stories in Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury, the recent heavyweight championship showdown, were 1. How badly and how easily Tyson Fury seemed to outbox Deontay Wilder after such a huge layoff, followed by a couple comeback fights versus no-name opponents. And 2. How the hell did Tyson Fury get up from that 12th round knockdown? But there's another story that's been seldom discussed, if at all. How the hell, after those difficult 11 rounds versus a superior technical boxer who also outweighs you by about 40 pounds, did you manage to conjure the energy, the strength, and the explosive power to finally land on and drop Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King? Going into the 12th round, I think that everyone watching believed that Deontay Wilder was going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat to even have a chance on the judges' scorecard. Most thought he needed a knockout, and there was no chance of him winning a decision. Wilder had been outboxed and largely tamed, with his output reduced and only an occasional jab really landing for almost every round in the fight before dropping Fury in the 9th round. Fury gets up, survives the round. Wilder then goes on to land only 1 of 39 punches in the 10th round, got schooled, and the 11th round wasn't much different. So here we are in the 12th round, and with the exception of that 9th round knockdown, Wilder's having a hell of a time trying to solve Fury's puzzle. He can't connect flush with the Gypsy King, who's 2 inches taller, 40 pounds heavier, and is more technically skilled than Wilder. Keep in mind that fighting bigger fighters in itself is a tiresome task, even if you have explosive power, because bigger guys can usually dish and absorb heavier punches than the smaller guy. And while Wilder is a harder puncher than Fury, Fury's heavy jabs and right hands are slowly exhausting the energy in Wilder's legs and back. It's a real uphill battle when you're being outboxed by a bigger opponent. Even when they clinch, it's Wilder who's having to carry more weight with his legs. Think Jarrett Hurd versus Erislandy Lara, or go back even further to Carlos Baldomir versus Zab Judah. The bigger fighter methodically walks down and wears down the snappier, sharper puncher. The added problem here for Wilder is that while he even might have had a slight hand speed advantage with the devastating knockout power, Tyson Fury is a very snappy and accurate puncher himself for a guy his size. He's very coordinated with his feet as well. Most of this fight, in fact, had been him controlling the distance with his feet. When fighting elite defensive fighters, which Fury is, you usually need to either feint with your body, faking a punch, or throw distracting punches, decoys, to set up the power punch and have any chance at landing. So Fury, in the 12th, pops Wilder with a hard right hand. Wilder immediately comes back, barely missing with the jab, then landing beautifully with the right hand that came behind it, and landing just as flush with the following left hook to Fury's head while Fury was on his way down. For Wilder, who'd had trouble landing anything significant this whole fight, then after going down and staying down, nearly motionless for at least 5 seconds in that count, in the 10 count, Fury famously gets up. It was pretty miraculous, and that is the part of the fight that has largely been discussed. But for Wilder, who'd had trouble landing anything significant this whole fight, to still attack with the belief that he could finish him and then execute on those 2 power punches while fatigued, this is the 12th round. It speaks volumes on how much determination and grit that a fatigued, frustrated, and desperate Wilder has. And this is the part that has been under-discussed. Whether this chain of events happened because Fury's legs began to tire faster than Wilder's, being that Fury weighed about 260 pounds and has largely been inactive for the past 3 years. Again, he'd had 2 fights versus no-name opponents since the layoff. Whether Fury's legs and weight had something to do with him being easier to catch in the 12th round than he was in prior rounds. Keep in mind that Wilder was also tired. This was the 12th round for him too, you know. Deontay Wilder's heart is the unsung hero in this fight, because without that, we'd be having a much different conversation right now, as Fury would have become the WBC champion, and Wilder would have no title and would have a loss on his record instead of the draw. We'd be talking about a unification match between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua instead of preparing for a likely rematch between Fury and Deontay Wilder, as they now have unfinished business. Desperate times called for greatness, and Wilder pulled that rabbit out of his hat and gave himself at least a chance on the judges' scorecards. So let me know your thoughts about Wilder versus Fury and what you expect out of this potential rematch. Please like and subscribe. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.